Everybody hear me? Shake your head up now.
Good morning.
Yes.
Okay.
Morning.
Nobody responded, so I was just curious. All right, Chambers County Probate Court come to order. Calls number 64, the state of Magdalene Severa Rodriguez. Ronberger, you on?
Good morning, Judge. Let me grab my client.
There you are. I see.
I've got two cases on the docket today, so let me get Miss Rodriguez.
Okay.
We have all the witnesses here in my office, so
Okay, good.
Judge, just bear with me. I'll be right.
Oh, finally. I'm not anymore. Okay.
Judge, I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
You,
We've got everybody here, so
oh, you got everybody. Okay, I was gonna say we could skip over and you come back, but you got everybody. All right. Anybody that's going to testify, need you to raise your right hand, please.
see if we can get everybody in. I'll get out of the way, Judge. They're all right here.
All right.
Just make sure you're
Anyone's going to testify, raise your right hand. They'll swear you in. All right.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
You do.
Okay.
Yes.
You put your hand down and you may proceed, Counsel.
Okay, thank you, Judge. All right. And Judge, you said we're starting with which case on?
Number 64,
Okay.
Magdalena Severa Rodriguez.
Okay. All right. So Simba,
Yes.
you're right here. Okay. Make sure you can speak up so that they can hear you, all right? And make sure all your answers are verbal and don't shake your head or anything like that. Okay, will you state your name for the court, please?
December Rodriguez.
Okay, and here we're here with respect to Magdalena. I'm gonna butcher this and saying it. Magdalena Severa Rodriguez, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes,
And she passed away on June 23rd of 2022.
correct.
Okay. And she passed away in Houston, correct?
Yes.
But at the time of her death, she was a resident of Chambers County, Texas.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the reason we're here is because she passed away without a will.
Yes. that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. And she passed away leaving two children.
Yes,
Okay. And that's two boys.
correct.
And who are they? What's their names?
Osvaldo Rodriguez Jr. and Omar Alexander Rodriguez.
Okay. And Osvaldo is how old?
He is 18 now.
Okay. And Omar is how old?
He is 13.
Okay. So let me ask you some questions with respect to her. Okay. So unfortunately, the circumstances surrounding her passing are pretty bad, but I need to ask you these questions anyway.
Okay,
So she was married at the time she passed away. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay. And she and her husband essentially passed away within hours of each other
That is correct.
without getting into the circumstances surrounding that. Was that the only marriage that you know that she had had?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that before she got married that she had any relationships that would have lent itself to having any other children?
She had no other children.
Okay. And so did she adopt any children?
She did not.
Okay. She take any children into her home with the intent of raising them as her own?
No.
Okay. So other than that, other than the marriage to, and Osvaldo's dad he's a senior, is Osvaldo Rodriguez. Other than the marriage to him, she had never been married.
That is correct.
Okay. Judge, I'll pass the witnesses to the ad litem if they have any questions.
Brandon, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? I just want to follow up and just for clarification. So Ms. Rodriguez was married to Mr. Osvaldo Rodriguez. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And because he did not live past 120 hours, he's considered to predecease her. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So leaving only the two children as her beneficiaries, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And would you have known if she had any other children?
I would have known. Yes.
And do you have a financial interest in the estate?
I do not.
And are you being paid for your testimony today?
I am not.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, call your next witness.
Okay,
Yes,
so why don't y'all switch and this
Yes.
will be. All right, so I'm gonna call Miss Hill. Can you see her okay? Okay, can you
Uh-huh.
state your name for the court, please?
Amanda Lynn Hill.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you some questions with respect to Magdalena, okay? All right, how did you know her?
Magdalena, I met her. She was working at a bank back prior to working for myself at A&R Transport, formerly Quantix. I knew Maggie approximately 20 to 25 years. And the majority of that time she worked for me, and very personal friend. She was like my sister.
Okay, so you're aware that she passed away in June of 22,
Yes,
and she passed away in Harris County, Texas.
yes,
But at the time she passed away, she resided in Chambers County, Texas.
she did.
Okay, and so you knew her pretty well,
Yes. I
Okay.
would say excellent.
and you don't have any reason to believe that she had any children with anyone else other than the children she had with her husband.
Absolutely not.
Okay, and so those two children are Osvaldo and Omar?
Right,
Okay,
correct.
and I'll ask you the same questions I asked of Asimba, that she didn't take any children into her home, any other children into her home with the intent of raising them as her own.
No,
Okay, and she didn't adopt any children.
no,
Okay. And I don't know if I asked you this, but she was not married, other than being married to Osvaldo, she had never been married
No.
before.
no.
Okay. And if you know, if y'all ever talked about it, let me ask you about a will. She ever talk about having a will?
No, she talked about doing one, but never got around to doing
Okay.
it.
So if you
I
know,
know that she did not have one done.
okay, all right, thank you. All right, pass the witness.
Just two follow-up questions. Do you have a financial interest in the estate?
No, ma'am.
And are you being paid for your testimony today?
Yeah.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
All right, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna play musical chairs here, Judge, and
I see you.
the other witnesses to my left, so. Okay,
Morning.
Nina, will you state your name for the court, please?
Nina Cruz.
All right, and tell the court, how did you know Magdalena?
I've known her almost all her life. She has been a family friend, and then I married her nephew.
Okay, so you knew her for, you had told us that you knew her for at least 35 years?
Right.
Okay, so you're pretty familiar with the circumstances surrounding her life and her passing.
Yes,
Okay, so you have knowledge she passed away in June of 22.
correct,
And she lived in Chambers County, Texas, but she passed away in Harris County, Texas.
correct.
And she was married at the time of her death, right?
Yes,
Okay, and she was married to Osvaldo Rodriguez,
yes,
and they had two children,
yes,
and that's Osvaldo and Omar.
correct.
Did they adopt any children, or did she adopt any children?
No,
Did she take any children into her home with the intent of raising them as her own?
no,
So knowing her as well as you did, do you have any reason to believe that there were any other children out there that she may have had prior to this marriage?
no,
Any children she had with anyone else during this marriage?
no,
Okay, and that marriage continued until she passed.
correct.
Okay, let me ask you the same questions that I asked Miss Hill about a will. Do you have any knowledge of her having a will or not?
No, she did not have one.
Okay, pass the witness.
Counselor.
Just same two follow-up questions. Are you being paid for your testimony today?
No.
And do you have a financial interest in the estate?
No,
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Judge, if I can recall Miss Rodriguez, because I know I didn't ask her any questions about the will with respect to the airship.
Yes, sir, you may.
Okay, so Asimba, let's talk about Magdalena with respect to her having a will. Do you have any knowledge of her having a will?
She did not have a will.
Did she ever talk about having a will?
She wanted one, but never went through with it.
Okay, what sort of diligence did you use in trying to find a will?
I called her attorney, her personal attorney. She had filed for divorce and asked him, and he said they were going to do a will after the divorce was complete, and they just never made it to that point.
Okay, so your testimony is that, to the best of your knowledge, she had intent but never carried through with it.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Judge, that's all the questions I have with respect to the airship. Do you want me to continue with the admin questions, or did you want to make any ruling on the airship?
Ms. Rendon, any other questions?
No, Your Honor, no other question.
Okay, and I see both of you signed off on the judgment declaring airship, and I'm going to approve it at this time, and you may continue, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, Assembly, let me ask you some questions. So one of the other reasons we're here is you're wanting to open up Magdalena's estate, but it's called an administration, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you're asking the court to appoint you as an independent administrator to serve independently without bond.
Correct.
Okay, and her heirs, her only heirs are her two sons, right?
Yes, that is
And they have consented, or Omar, through you, because you are also Omar's guardian, have consented that you be appointed as the independent administrator to serve independently without bond.
correct.
And Osvaldo has signed off on, because of his age, he has waived appointment himself in favor of you and consented to you being appointed as an independent administrator.
Correct.
Now, you are not disqualified from serving as an independent administrator.
I am not disqualified.
You're not a convicted felon.
I am not.
Okay, you're not otherwise disqualified.
Correct.
And so you're asking the court to open up this administration as an independent administration to appoint you as an independent administrator to serve without bond and to be issued letters of administration.
That is correct.
Pass the witness, John. Well, Lacey's not gonna have any questions for
Ms. Rendon, no questions.
her.
Okay, I hereby approve the independent administration and authorize letters of administration.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you,
moving
Judge.
on to cause number 65, the state of Osvaldo Rodriguez. And you may proceed, Counselor.
Judge, witnesses, you want to swear, are they still sworn from
They're
previous?
still sworn, so.
Okay. I'm gonna call Asimba, sitting right here to my right again. So Asimba, you're already sworn in, so let's ask you some questions with respect to Osvaldo, okay?
Okay.
All right. So tell me what relation, if any, you are. How did you know Osvaldo?
He is my brother-in-law. He is my husband's youngest brother.
Okay. So you're not related by blood,
Correct.
not one of his heirs.
Correct.
You do not have a stake in his estate.
That is correct.
Okay. So Osvaldo passed away as well on June 23rd of 2022.
Yes.
And he passed away in Cameron County, Texas, but the parties were going through a divorce, correct?
That is correct.
He was residing in Harris County, Texas, but his actual residence was still Chambers County, Texas.
Correct.
Okay. So we are here because he did not have a will.
That is right.
Okay. Let's just ask you some questions about the will, and I will come back to the marriage and children. Do you have any knowledge of whether or not he had a will?
He did not have a will.
Okay. Any discussion of a will?
He wanted a will, but never went through with the actual process.
Okay. And what efforts did you do to try to locate a will that he may have had or not?
Well, I had personal conversations with him. So he told me he did not have a will.
Okay. So your testimony is you have personal knowledge, and he specifically told you he did not have a will.
Correct.
Okay. So he was married to Magdalena,
Yes.
and that marriage continued until he passed.
Correct.
Do you have any reason to believe that he had any children with anyone prior to his marriage to her?
He did not have any children,
You have any,
other children,
you have any marriages before being married to her?
no other marriages.
Okay. So that marriage to Magdalena resulted in 2 children.
Correct.
Okay. And that's Osvaldo and Omar.
Yes.
Were there any children adopted?
No.
Any children taken into the home with the intent of raising them as his own?
No.
Okay. And as mentioned, that marriage, he was not married to anyone else. Other than that marriage, he had never been married.
That is correct.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Piper, good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Can you hear me? I'm having internet problems in the office. Can
Yes,
you-
ma'am, we can hear you.
Good, thank you. we spoke on the phone before this time for the hearing, and it was a
Yes.
pleasure for you to have answered my telephone call and also to provide all the information that you were able to help me with in looking into Osvaldo. Judge, he is also the guardian and fighting cancer. Did you mind if I shared that with him?
That's
And
fine.
she is just a special person who would step in and take care of her two nephews. And I really do commend her in this case.
Yes.
You have personal knowledge that there was no other children born to him outside of wedlock.
That is correct. Yes.
And in my search of airship, and we really thought there was some other child with the same name as one of his children in Harris County, but we concluded that that was totally separate, different date of birth, and so there is indeed, Judge, no other child involved in this estate. And I'm not going to ask you everything that your attorney has so well covered. So I thank you for filing this and assuming the responsibility that you're going to have over the children.
Thank you, Ms. Georgia.
All right, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge.
Call you next witness.
I'm gonna promise hell, we'll just play musical chairs here again. All right, so Miss Hill, you're still sworn, so I'm not gonna ask you to state your name for the court again. So, but tell the court how did you know Osvaldo?
I had no prior knowledge to Osvaldo until I met Magdalena, which was his wife, and they were dating at the time, and she introduced me to him, and that's how I know him.
Okay, so kind of some of the same questions that I asked you with respect to Magdalena.
Mhm.
Do you have knowledge of whether or not he had been married to anyone other than her?
No,
Okay.
No.
And that marriage continued, the marriage to Magdalena continued until he passed.
correct.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, he was not otherwise married except for that one.
Exactly, right.
Okay. And do you have any reason to believe that he had any children with anyone else
No,
outside of this marriage?
no.
Okay, so that the marriage to Magdalena, they had two children,
Mhm.
and that was Osvaldo and
Mhm.
Omar.
And Omar. Mhm.
Okay, and he didn't adopt any children,
No,
and he didn't take any children into his home to raise as his own.
no.
Now, if you know, I'll ask you, do you have any knowledge of whether or not he had a will?
No, but I will say this, that we had conversations, he, myself, and Maggie, we were all very, very best friends. Even Osvaldo were best friends. When I met them, they were like brothers and sisters to me. We did pretty much everything together, and we've had conversations of that, but they never got around to doing it. He wanted one, but he never did it.
Okay, I'm past the witness, Judge.
Yes.
Miss Hill, you're from Mississippi, so you've come a long way to
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
today. Good morning. I'm not going to ask you everything that your attorney has asked. We spoke on the phone and confirmed that the only two surviving heirs of Osvaldo
Mhm.
are the two sons,
Correct.
correct? And you've known them quite a while and close, as you testified to the judge.
Right.
And they were living in Mont Bellevue in the Keystone residence at the time all this occurred, and both died. He was in Harris County, but his residence was still permanent Keystone, correct?
Chambers County.
Chambers.
Their home was Chambers County. Yes.
All right. In fact, someone had told me, and I'm thinking it was you, that he lived in a second residence that they also owned.
No, he's never lived in a second residence. They just had rental homes. No,
Okay.
he didn't live in any other place other than He was residing at a different address at the time of the split up of them going through the divorce, but his home was still in Chambers County.
Correct, that's true. And you have nothing to gain by your testimony here. You're here just to enlighten the judge on the circumstances of Osvaldo.
Yes, correct. None.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Next witness, okay.
I'm gonna
Switch.
One more time, Judge. Actually, two more times. One more time after this. Okay, Mina, you've already been sworn, so let me ask you some questions. These questions are going to sound very familiar to what I asked you with respect to Magdalena. Okay, so but tell me, if the circumstances surrounding, how did you know Osvaldo?
I knew him when they started dating.
Okay, so not near as long as you knew Magdalena.
Correct.
Okay, so do you have any reason to believe that he had any children with anyone else, either prior to the marriage to Magdalena, during the marriage to Magdalena? Okay. So that marriage continued until he passed away, correct?
Correct.
And that in that marriage, they had two children. That was Osvaldo and Omar.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll ask you again, they didn't adopt any children,
No.
take any other children into the home to raise as his own.
No.
So let me ask you questions with respect to a will. If you have knowledge, you have any knowledge of whether or not he had a will?
No.
You don't have knowledge, or he did?
No, he did not have a will.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness, Judge.
And the two questions I'll ask you is, and thank you for taking my call before this hearing and providing. You've known him for 20 years or more, haven't you?
Correct.
Longtime friends with Magdalena.
Yes.
You stand nothing to gain financially by your testimony before the court, do you?
Correct. Nothing.
And everything that you've told the court is true and correct.
Yes.
Thank you for coming so far.
You're welcome.
That's all, Judge.
Thank you, Counsel.
That's all the questions I have with respect to the airship, Judge.
Okay. And Ms. Clapper, you agree to the airship?
Very much, Your Honor.
I'm going to approve the judgment declaring airship. And Counsel, you may proceed.
Okay, Asimbos, so let's ask you some questions with respect to the administration that you're requesting with respect to Osvaldo's estate. So you have filed asking this court to open up an administration and make it an independent administration, and allow you to be appointed as an independent administrator to serve without bond.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, the only heirs of Osvaldo are the same heirs of Magdalena, and that's the two boys.
Correct.
And Osvaldo Jr. is 18 now.
Yes.
And how old is Omar again?
Omar is 13.
Okay. And you are, as has been testified to, you are the guardian of Omar.
That is correct.
Okay. So Osvaldo, so you have signed on Omar's behalf with respect to this administration.
Yes.
But Osvaldo Jr. has waived being appointed as administrator of his dad's estate, as he did for his mother's estate.
Yes.
And he's waived in favor of you being appointed as the independent administrator
Correct.
and to serve without bond.
Yes.
And so in conclusion, you're asking the court to open up this independent administration to appoint you as an independent administrator to serve without bond and to issue you letters of administration.
That is correct.
Okay. And you are not a convicted felon.
I am not.
So you were qualified and not otherwise disqualified from serving as an independent administrator.
That is correct.
That's all I have, Judge.
I approved the administration, and I've also approved the lighting fees. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, number 23 CPR 0084, the state of Michael Eugene Stewart.
Thank you. Judge, that's mine as well. Let me grab this one. I only have one witness here, my client, and I'm hoping the Mr. Godwin and Miss Lara are online. I hope. Are they here, Judge?
Miss Lara? Okay, you're muted, Miss Lara. If you'll unmute yourself, please.
Yes, Judge. I'm
There you
here.
go. All right, she's there. Mr. Godwin? I don't see Mr. Godwin. Mr.
Okay.
Godwin, if you're on, raise your hand or say something. Y'all may want to contact him. See if you can get him on.
Okay, Judge, can you just come back to us? We'll go ahead
Yeah,
and call.
let's skip over. I'll skip over that one and come back to you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, cause number 109, State of Keith Bill.
Yes, sir, Judge. I've got one witness, looks like he went to the restroom, but I apologize. So, but I've got Miss Rourke. Miss Rourke, would you get on, please, ma'am, again? Terry Rourke, would you please get on video again, please, ma'am?
Yes, I'm trying. Hold on.
Okay, as long as you're
Here she
trying.
is.
And we
Oh.
also have Amy Beal on as well, I see. We were not aware that she would be here, but she's on.
Okay,
All right, I see Miss Rourke. Who's your other witness?
it's going to be Mr. David, I'm sorry, excuse me, Judge. Greg Bodenheimer. Mr. Bodenheimer? Can you hear me, Mr. Bodenheimer? All right, he's going to be one of my witnesses, and Miss Rourke is going to be one of my witnesses, Judge. And as soon as the other Mr. Beal comes back, David Beal, he'll be my witness. I'm sorry. He
That's
left.
okay. You can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Have you all been sworn in?
They haven't been sworn.
We all want to go. They have, you said? Or have
Mr.
not?
Wilson,
Would they rate?
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
did you realize that Amy Beal is on this
Yeah,
call?
it doesn't. That's great. It's fine.
Okay.
This
You're my witness today. Okay.
Okay.
So please,
this is the
Miss Beal,
this is
Miss
open
Beal's just
hearing.
going
So
to
yes.
watch. Okay. All right. Mr.
All
Bowden,
right. Let me go ahead and make sure everyone's sworn in
there. Raise your
for
hand.
this. Raise your right hand again. Let's swear you in.
There we go.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now you may proceed, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge. I'll call Terry Rourke. Would you state your name, please?
Terry Rourke,
And Keith Beal was your brother, is that correct?
correct.
And he passed away on February 28th of 2022 in Cove, Chambers County, Texas.
Yes.
And his domicile and residence was in Cove, Chambers County, Texas at his date of death.
Yes.
And he left a purported holographic last will and testament dated January 21st of 2022.
Yes. Correct.
And that's what you're asking to be entered into probate. Is that correct?
Correct.
No children were born after he made that will?
No.
He was not divorced after making the will?
No.
There's no gifts to any government or charitable organizations within the contents of the will?
No.
And he did not receive any Medicaid benefits, period, on or after March 1st, 2005. He didn't get Medicaid at all, correct?
Correct.
And you're asking the court to probate this will as a monument of title to pass title on to the recipients of the will.
Correct.
Judge, I'll pass Ms. Rourke for now. And if she can mute for the baby there.
Yeah, Miss Rourke, if you'll mute, please.
I'll call my next witness, Judge.
Call your next witness, please.
I will call Greg Bodenheimer. Would you state your name to the court, please?
Greg Bodenhammer.
And Mr. Bodenheimer, were you familiar with Keith Beal?
Yes, I was.
How many years you think you were familiar with him?
Over 40 years.
All right. And were you familiar with his handwriting and his signature?
Yes.
I have submitted to you what was a holographic will, purportedly holographic will, dated January 21st, 2022. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes.
And are you familiar with that the handwriting on that document is Mr. Keith Beal?
Yes.
and that the signature on that document is Mr. Keith Beal.
Yes.
And at the time that he would have executed that on January 21st, 2022, was he at least 18 years of age
Yes.
and sound mind?
Yes.
All right. I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
Questions, you can call your next witness.
All right, Mr. There we go. Mr. Is it David Beal, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Beal, are you familiar with Keith Beal?
Yes. He is my brother.
All right, so you knew him forever almost, huh?
Yes.
And were you familiar with his handwriting and his signature?
Yes.
And I showed you a purported document, which I've shown you another copy today, of a purported last will and testament, a holographic will, correct?
Correct.
And do you recognize that handwriting as the handwriting of Keith Beal?
Yes.
Do you recognize the signature on that document as the signature of Keith Beal?
Yes.
And at the time that he would have signed that on January 21st, 2022, was he at least 18 years of age?
Yes.
And we have a sound mind?
Yes.
All right. And you have no financial interest in this estate, right?
Right.
And you're not being paid to testify today.
No.
And Judge, if I can ask Mr. Bodenheimer real quick.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bodenheimer, you have no financial interest in this estate, do you?
No.
And you're not being paid to testify here today.
No, sir.
All right. Your Honor, I'm asking that you enter the will as a monument of title and waive the affidavit of fulfillment that is required by law. That's all I have.
Everybody admit the will's holographic will as monument of title. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge.
All have a good day.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Schronberger, you.
Yes, Judge. Everyone is here now. I'm not quite sure what that icon means on Mr. Godwin's screen, but he is here. He's unmuted, so.
I'm here, guys. I'm sorry. Do I need to, if you need to see my picture, I can open my laptop to try to pull it up.
Yes, we need to
Okay.
see you if you can.
Let me pull it up. Sure.
Okay. There it is.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry.
All right, we need, raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you put your hand down, Counselor, you may proceed.
Judge, did you swear Miss Larry in or?
Yes, she was sworn in also.
Okay. All right. All right, Miss
And Ms.
Gudge.
Larry, you're muted, so you'll have to unmute yourself.
So, Judge, I'm gonna call my client first, Miss
Okay.
Gudge, right here. I mean, I'm hoping she's in. Yes, we're good on camera here. All right, Miss Gudge, state your name for the court, please.
It's Catherine Mary Gudgel.
All right, and tell the court what your relation is to Michael Eugene Stewart.
I'm his daughter.
All right, is it true that your dad passed away July 20th of last year?
Yes.
And he actually passed away in Pueblo, Colorado.
Yes.
Okay, now he wasn't living there.
No, he was working a job out there.
Okay, so he was a resident of Chambers County, Texas.
Yes.
Okay, and the reason we're here is because he passed away without a will.
Yes.
Okay, now, was he married at the time he passed away?
No,
Okay, and how many times before had he been married?
just the one time.
Okay, and was that to Catherine Mary? I'm sorry, to Mary Martha Stewart.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. I just said your name again. Okay, so that was your mom.
Yes.
Okay, and he was not married to anyone prior to his marriage to her.
No.
And that marriage continued until she passed away in 2020.
Yes.
And did he get remarried
No.
after that?
No, he didn't.
All right. Do you have any reason to believe that he had any children with anyone other than the children that he had with your mom?
No.
Okay. So in that marriage, there were 3 children born.
Yes.
You, of course, and then you have 2 brothers,
Yes.
and that's Michael Jr.
Yes.
and Joshua.
Yes.
Did your dad take anyone into his home with the intent of raising them as his own?
No,
Okay, did he adopt any children?
no,
And you have any children with anyone else?
No.
Prior to, during, or after your mother passing?
no.
Okay. And so let me ask you some questions with respect to him having a will.
All right.
Okay. What knowledge do you have of him having a will, not being able to find a will? You can go ahead and tell that to the court.
So I don't have any knowledge of him having a will. I did look. I called his tax attorney lawyer and his financial advisor asking if they knew anything. There was no evidence or records of him having any will. I did look through his personal belongings and bank statements, and I couldn't find any evidence that he had a will.
Okay, so sitting here today, is you feel pretty certain that there's not anything out there that he did a will or any document that he expected to be treated as his will?
Correct.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Foss.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lori Walsh, the attorney ad litem. I do not have any questions for the applicant on this matter.
Okay, call your next witness, counsel.
Okay, I'm gonna call Mr. Godwin.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Godwin, we spoke recently, and state your name for the court, please.
Johnny Ray Godwin.
Okay, and tell the court how you knew Mr. Stewart.
I've known Mr. Stewart for over 30 years.
Okay,
I met him on a project years ago. Yes, sir.
so it's safe to say that you knew him pretty well.
Yes, sir. Very well. Actually, my best friend.
Okay. So obviously you're aware that he passed away last year when he was working on a job in Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at the time he passed away, he was a resident, though, of Chambers County, Texas.
Correct.
Now, he wasn't married at the time he passed away.
No, sir.
He was widowed. Widowed, is that the correct word?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
His wife had passed away. His wife, Mary, had passed away in 2020. Is that correct?
Yeah, Miss Martha. Yes.
Now, you know him pretty well, so do you have any reason to believe that he had any children with anyone other than what he had with Mary?
No, sir. No children.
And so she predeceased him back in 2020.
Yes, sir.
Didn't have any other relationships between then and when he passed away.
Not to my knowledge, he did not.
Right. So of that marriage, there were 3 children born.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's Mary next to me, Michael, and Joshua. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Then did he adopt any children?
No, he did not.
Take any children into his home as his own?
No, sir.
To raise as his own?
No, sir.
All right, so let me just ask you real quickly with respect to a will, if you have any knowledge. We're here because it purports that there's not a will that Mr. Stewart had, that he passed without a will. Any knowledge you have of him having a will that might be found?
I've not seen or heard, of a will. I know he mentioned that he had a will, or he was thinking about doing one or something to my wife, but he's never said anything about he had one stashed anywhere or had one made up. So to my knowledge, there's nothing.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass it with Judge.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. I'm Lori Walsh, the attorney ad litem. Just a couple of questions. You do not stand to inherit from Mr. Stewart's estate, is that correct?
Not to my knowledge, no. I would hope not, but
Have you been compensated in any way for your testimony today, sir?
no, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Yes, sir. Call your next witness.
I'm going to call Patricia Lara. Miss Lara, are you on?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
All right, good. Good morning. Can you state your name for the court, please?
Yes, my name is Patricia Lara.
All right, so tell the court, how did you know Mr. Stewart?
I knew Mike almost all my life. We met in high school.
Okay,
So it's been a long time, about over 40 years, 45 years at least.
Okay, so is it fair to say that you knew him pretty well and knew his life pretty well?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I knew him very well. Yes.
All right, so did you now he wasn't married at the time he passed away, correct?
That is correct.
As a matter of fact, but he had been married to Mary.
Yes.
Actually, she went by Martha. Is that correct?
She went by Martha. Yes. He was married to Martha. Yes.
And she predeceased him back in 2020.
Yes, that's correct.
So, do you have any reason to believe that he had any relationships that would have lent itself to where you would, but let me phrase it this way. Did he have any relationships that would lend you to believe that he would have any other children other than the children he had with Martha?
No. No,
Okay.
no, it would be a shock if that were true. It was not his character. No.
Okay. Now he and Martha got married pretty young. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I think,
They were,
I think they got married back in 1983.
yes, but yes, they were young. They were still in their
Married.
20s, young
Okay.
20s.
So they
Mhm.
had 3 children.
Yes.
Okay. That's Catherine next to me.
Yes.
And 2 boys, Michael Jr.
Michael. Yes.
Okay.
And Joshua. Yes. Mhm.
And he did not adopt any children.
No, sir.
And do you know of any children that he took into his home with the intent of raising them as his own?
No, sir. He's not.
Are you still there? Uh-oh, we lost.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So let me
Yes,
ask
I'm
you.
here.
Okay.
Yes.
We just lost you there for a sec. So let me ask you questions about if you have knowledge of this, of whether or not that Mr. Stewart had a will.
We never spoke of a will, so I would not have any knowledge. No, sir.
Okay.
We never spoke of a will at all.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass the witness.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. I just have a couple of questions for you. Do you feel confident telling this court today that you knew Mr. Stewart well enough that if he had any other children born to or adopted by him during his lifetime, that you would have known about those children?
Yes, I believe I would have. I know I would have.
Okay. And you do not stand to inherit from his estate, correct?
No, I do not.
And have you been compensated in any way for your testimony today?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
All right, Judge, that's all the questions. That's all the witnesses I have for the airship.
Okay, so Ms. Walsh, you agreed to the judgment declaring airship,
I do, Your Honor.
and I'm going to approve it, and you may proceed with the administration.
May I
Thank you,
be
Judge.
dismissed, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
All right, so Catherine, I'm going to recall you, okay? So let me ask you some questions about, why we're here. So we're here because your dad passed away without a will, correct?
Correct.
And so you need to open up an administration of his estate, right? Is that right?
Yes.
All right, so you have asked the court to open up this administration as an independent administration, correct?
Yes.
And your brothers have waived appointment as to serve as an administrator in favor of you.
Yes.
Okay. They have also consented to that fact and consented to the administration being independent and for you to serve as the independent administrator to serve without bond.
Yes.
Okay. Now, have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Okay, so you are qualified and otherwise not disqualified from serving as an independent administrator without bond.
Correct.
And you're asking the court to grant the starting of this independent administration to appoint you as an independent administrator to serve without bond and to issue you letters of administration.
Yes.
Judge, that's all I have.
So done. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge. May we be excused.
You may be. Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
All right, cause number 80, the state of Nathan John Johnson. Ms. Johnson, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. We can't see. All we can see is a ceiling fan.
Oh my, so what I do? Oh,
Point it down, pull your computer down to where the camera's facing you.
oh, okay, wait.
We could see you a few minutes ago, but
You did? It was where? Oh,
are you on a
no, that's it.
laptop? No. Phone? No, I can't see it all, Miss Johnson.
Wait. Ooh. Okay, you see me?
I see the top of your head. Can you?
How's that?
No, the other way. Yeah, these hearings are fun. Just point your phone to your face.
Okay.
There you go. And did you get sworn in a few minutes ago? All right, you're muted now. You need to unmute. You're still muted, Miss Johnson.
You see me?
I can see you and I can hear you now.
But I can't see you.
You can't see me. Well, you don't have to see me. I can see you. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Raise your right hand so we can swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay. Okay.
All right, are you going to testify on this small state affidavit?
Yes.
Then you can go ahead.
Excuse me?
You can go ahead and testify.
I'm testifying to the small estate affidavit.
Yes, ma'am.
The descendant is Nathan John Johnson. Died on May 22nd, 2022 in Chambers County, Texas. Okay, what's next?
You had no debts?
No, sir.
I'm looking over the small estate affidavit.
Oh, yes, sir.
And stated did not apply for receive benefits for Medicaid.
He did not receive Medicaid. No, sir.
I'm going to approve small estate affidavit. The state of Nathan John Johnson. Okay, that's all we need, ma'am.
Yes.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yes,
So I hit the leave button.
yes, ma'am. You can.
Okay, thank you. And y'all have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, cause number 9, state of Dolores Sue Merritt. Mr. Lake, good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
We can hear you and see you.
Huh?
We can hear you and see you.
Oh, that's great.
All right, I don't know that we've sworn in your witness, so if you'll raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Yes.
You can put, and you may proceed, Counselor.
Your name is Deborah S. Merritt.
Yes.
Can you hear us okay, Judge?
We can.
Okay. And Dolores Sue Merritt, the deceased, was your mother?
Yes.
Okay. And she passed away on August 12th, 2023 at the age of 80 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And 4 years have not elapsed. Is that correct? Dolores Sue Merritt she was domiciled, had a fixed place of residence in Beach City, Chambers County at the time of her passing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it your testimony that this court has jurisdiction and venue of Dolores Sue Merritt's estate? Now, also your testimony citation has been served upon those required and returned in the manner and for the length of time required by the Texas Probate Code. Now, your mother, Dolores Sue Merritt, signed her will on August 21st, 2001, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In her last will and testament, your mother appointed Deborah S. Merritt, that's you, to serve as independent executrix, to serve independently without a bond and or security, and you are not disqualified from applying for issuance and accepting letters testamentary. Is that correct?
Correct.
You're not a convicted felon, right? No. Okay. To the best of your knowledge, your mom's will, it was never revoked. Correct? Okay, and no state or governmental agency of the state or charitable organization is named in the will as a devisee or beneficiary. Is that correct? Correct. So after the date of the will, no child was born or adopted by Dolores Sue Merritt, your mother. Is that correct?
Correct.
And no marriage of Dolores Sue Merritt was ever dissolved after the will was made. Is that correct?
Yes.
So to the best of your knowledge, all the proof required for probate has been made. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you are not disqualified again from accepting letters testamentary. Is that correct? Judge, we'd ask the court to make a ruling.
All right, hereby I admit to probate and authorize letters of testamentary. Have a good day, ma'am.
Thank you.
Give me just a minute. I need to check on something. I'll be right back.
I'll take those notes for you. I'll get with you about
All right, I'm back. Calls number 12, the state of Glenn David Ray.
Judge, we're bringing in our witnesses right now. So
Okay.
let me leave this for you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Deborah. As soon as she comes out. Okay, Dana, you sit right here. And it is Dana. Dina. Dina. Okay, Dina, you sit here. Okay. And then my witnesses, when I call y'all, you'll switch places with Dina, okay? Judge, this is a holographic will, so we'll have a couple of witnesses as well.
All right, let me swear everyone in. If that's gonna move around there, we go. All right, if y'all raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down and Counselor, you may proceed.
May I proceed, Judge? Thank you. Your name is Dina Lynn Watkins, is that correct?
Yes.
And Glenn David Ray passed away on January 29th, 2024 at the age of 60 years. Is that correct? And the deceased, David Ray, was your brother?
Yeah.
Okay. And 4 years have not elapsed since his passing, correct?
No.
Now, David Ray was domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Hancomer, Chambers County, Texas at the time of his passing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it your testimony that this court has jurisdiction and venue of Glenn David Ray estate? Yes. And it's also your testimony that citation has been served upon those required and returned in the manner and for the length of time required by the Texas Probate Code.
Yes.
Now, David Ray signed or Glenn David Ray signed his holographic will before the witnesses Scott Latham and on November 18, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
And also before another witness, Cynthia Ann Freilich, on December 20th, 2023. Is that correct? And both witnesses are here today, correct? Okay. And now in his last will and testament, Glenn David Ray appointed you, Dina Lynn Watkins, to serve as his independent executrix, to serve independently without a bond or security. Is that correct? And you are not disqualified in any way, shape, or form from applying for issuance and accepting letters testamentary, correct? Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, this will was never revoked. Is that correct? Judge, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and suspend this questioning and go to my witnesses if that's okay. And
Please do.
my first witness, and let me see if I can get her here. There we go. Will be let me see, is it Cynthia Ann? Cynthia Ann Freilich. Miss Freilich, you knew David Ray personally,
Yes,
and in what capacity?
I was his friend and also his caregiver.
Okay, so you knew him quite a while, and you knew him personally.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay, and do you recognize what has been filed as this holographic will written by David Ray?
yes, I do.
Okay, and do you recognize it to be David Will's writing?
Yes.
David Ray's writing.
Yes.
Do you also recognize that to be his signature on the second page?
Yes,
Okay, and is that your signature underneath his signature
yes,
as witness number 2?
yes,
Okay. And you don't stand to benefit from this will at all, do you?
no,
And you're not receiving any compensation for your testimony today. Is that correct?
correct.
That's all I have. Judge, I'll call Scott Latham if you all want to switch chairs. Your name is Scott Latham,
Yes,
and you knew David Ray personally.
yes, sir.
Was he a good friend to you?
Oh, yeah, very good friend.
Okay, so how long do you think you knew him?
Probably 10 years.
Okay, and you recognize what has been identified as David Ray's holographic will, and let me show that to you.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and do you recognize that as his writing?
Okay, that's his writing.
That's his writing. Okay, and you recognize the signature on the signature line below to be that signature of Glenn David Ray.
Sir.
Okay, and then witness number 1, is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
You were present when he signed this will, were
Yes,
you
I
not?
was.
Okay. You don't stand to benefit from this will, do you?
No.
And you're not being paid for your testimony?
No.
Thank you. That's all I have for this witness. And let's return to Dina. All right, Dina. I think I asked you before, but to your knowledge, was David Ray's will revoked? It was not revoked, okay. And there's no state or governmental agency of the state or charitable organization is named in this will as a devisee or beneficiary. Is that correct? So after the date of the will, no child was born or adopted to David Ray. Okay. And no marriage of Glenn David Ray was ever dissolved after the will was made. Is that correct? And so, to the best of your knowledge, the proof is required for probate has been made, and judge would ask for a ruling.
Everybody admit the holographic will of probate and grant letters of administration.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Counselor. Take care.
Right, you too, Judge.
We're unmuted.
All right, last but not least, cause number 15, the state of Robert Herman McClellan. Good morning, Miss Andrea.
Good morning, Judge.
Have we sworn you in?
I don't think we,
Okay, raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
yes.
You can put your hand down. We're honored to have the county clerk sit in with us on this one. Ms. Hawthorne, good morning.
Good morning. She's kind of special.
I know. And you may proceed, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge. Your name is Andrea Yvonne Sullivan McClellan. Yes. And you are, and forever, the wife of Robert Herman McClellan Jr. Yes. And y'all have been married for how many years when he died on January 22, 58 of this year? And it would have been 59 on March the what? 5th. The 5th. So y'all were married a long time. You lived here in Chambers County? Yes. At the time of his death and for quite a while before then. And you had 2 children born of the marriage, correct? Yes. Any children adopted or taken into your home to raise that you considered a child? No. All right. So the 2 children are, how old is Robert? The oldest one is 58. And William Cody is 55. All right. And that's the 2 children. Your husband was a resident of Chambers County because y'all lived here and you had property here in Chambers County, correct? At the time of his death. Now, he had a will, which we have produced to the judge. And I'm going to show it to you, the last will and testament of Mr. McClellan. It's dated according to his signature and the notarized self-proving affidavit. March the 18th of 1999, correct? Yes. And you recognize your husband's signature on the will? Yes. And that is indeed a signature? Yes. Did he, after 1999, ever revoke this will? No. Did he ever, for any reason, say he didn't want to follow this will? No. This is the will that we present to the court as his last will. Yes. And it was witnessed by Ann O'Hara and Charnel Inman, and before notary Hilo Durick Jr. in Alaska. Yes. All right. And you're asking the judge to admit this will to probate as being true and correct. Yes. All right. You are willing to be the independent executor of the estate as is proved as set out in this very long will, and to do the things that you need to do. In fact, you're the sole beneficiary. If you make it through all these pages, you are the beneficiary of this estate. Yes. And you are not disqualified by law. No hickey in your history that would prevent you from being able to be the executor. No. Correct. And so you're asking for the will to be admitted to probate and for you to be given independent letters of executor of the will, and that no appraisement be required because none is necessary. Correct. That's all, Judge.
All right, so done. Thank you, Counselor. Miss Andrea, you take care.
Y'all have a good day.
Y'all too. Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Rose. All of you. I enjoyed being last. This is, I think I only have 2 more. So,
Oh, really?
yes, I'm retiring, Judge. COVID
Oh,
didn't
I heard that.